In this video, I'm going to give you 10 tips on how to have amazing one-to-one meetings. I'm Paul Banoob and I've been managing people for 25 years at massive companies, so I know a thing or two about this subject. Have you got one-to-one meetings with your boss or team? Let me know in the comments because I'd really like to get a feel for how many of you do. And I always ask that question at leadership forums, and I'm constantly surprised by the number of people that don't have any form of one-to-one meeting, never mind a consistent, well-structured feedback forum. Not having a one-to-one meeting is a key indicator of a bad manager or of a company where you might find it harder to make an impact. And it'll certainly make it harder for you to build a relationship with your manager or team. Here's a few tips from a manager's perspective. Do not cancel. Okay, sometimes it might not be avoidable, but certainly don't make a habit of cancelling one-to-ones because this is a surefire way to upsetting your relationship with an employee, and it's a key morale damager. If you're struggling to fit the one-to-ones in, for example, if you've got a lot of direct reports, then adjust the cadence to suit the team size. Personally, I do weekly or bi-weekly, and certainly more frequently from people as they get up to speed or if they need a bit of extra support. Here's a bit of warning though. If you see your manager has regularly started cancelling your one-to-ones, then it's a red flag because this is a common precursor to being fired or made redundant. Remember the feedback loop. Your one-to-one is a key opportunity to give and receive feedback. Suffice to say that this is your main opportunity to give consistent, regular feedback so that nobody gets to their final end of year review and gets nasty surprises. Make sure that maybe 1 in 3 or 4 one-to-ones heavily features career or performance related feedback so that you can make sure everybody knows what their development points are and that they're on track with their goals. Listen. This is obvious, right? Well, it's key that as a manager, you listen to your employee. This is their time more than yours. So be prepared to defer the whole meeting to topics of their choosing. You might find that they have a huge issue or personal problem to bring to your attention, and that should take priority. The less obvious thing is to listen to your own voice. And I mean listen to yourself. Mentally track whether you're dominating the conversation. Are you actually giving your employee chances to speak? Are you interrupting? Have you paused for comment recently? It's all very important to ensure that two-way dialogue. Have the sports team manager mindset. Because as a manager, you need to be very conscious of individual personalities. And just like managing a sports team, some people respond better to an arm around the shoulder, where others need firmer messages. It's also critical to be mindful of cultural considerations when holding one-to-ones with employees that are part of remote teams. Someone in India, for example, may react very differently to somebody in New York. And for that reason, I like to usually keep humour out of my one-to-ones. Now some tips from the employee perspective. Be prepared. It's really important to be prepared for one-to-ones. Come to the meeting with a list of discussion points because it's not a good look to turn up and not have anything to discuss. Bring your A game because this is a prime opportunity to impress on an individual basis. It doesn't impress when you either forget to bring your agenda or don't even have one. And try and anticipate your manager's questions. Don't be scared to ask for them in advance so that you can be sure to collate the relevant answers. I regularly request my manager's one-to-one list just so I can make sure I'm aligned with all the information that he wants to know. Don't be late. Appreciate your manager has made the time for you. Yes, they should, but many don't, so it's important to give your meetings the full attention they deserve. And I'd say that goes both ways actually. Don't be scared to vent. Well, not every manager I've spoken to likes this one, but personally I'm more than happy if my report uses the occasional one-to-one to blow off a bit of steam. Because I'd rather find out about any issues or burning problems from the horse's mouth rather than have them bottle things up and explode later. A note of caution though, if as an employee you feel like you might lose it or get too emotional, maybe request a postponement because it's not a good idea to lose control. And here's some tips for both the manager and the employee. Change the scene. It's valuable to get out of the office occasionally to change the scene. Coffee shop, pub, meeting room, comfy seating area, whatever you have available. And try and associate the venue with the vibe because you wouldn't want to be conducting performance reviews, for example, in your local coffee shop or sharing a pizza when someone's just had some bad news. Final tip, review the format. Give each other feedback on the format of the meetings. Is the cadence working for you both? Can they be improved? Because your goal is to make these meetings better each time. And you'll probably find that you've got slightly different structures depending on the person that you're meeting. So here's what I want you to do now. Put those tips into practice. And let me know in the comments which tips you think will be the most useful for you. Also, do you have a killer tip that makes your one-to-one super useful? Let me know. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, like this video because the YouTube algorithm loves it. And I could do with a little bit of YouTube algorithm love, couldn't we all? If you're starting up your one-to-one meetings, you might be a new manager taking on a new team. and you are guaranteed to have the problems that new managers face. But luckily for you, I've got a brilliant guide on being a new manager and getting off to a flying start. And you can see it right here.